to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Person? Mr. Prince?
Here.
Ms. Breyer?
Here.
Mr. Pavoni?
Here.
Mr. Taylor? Mr. Corman?
Here.
Ms. Palmer?
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, 2 absent.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
move we excuse the absent council members. Second.
Been moved by Mr. Prince, seconded by Mr. Corman, that council excuse the absent council members. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So we have a couple of special presentations tonight. First one is from David Della with Waste Management. Linda, are you going to?
I was just going to do an intro.
Okay, great.
If that's okay. Good evening. My name is Linda Knight. I'm the solid waste coordinator for the city. Each year, in compliance with our solid waste contract, Waste Management prepares a report that documents the successes of the year's collection program. You as council members have already received a copy of this, hopefully. And we hope to have additional copies in my office. If any members of the public care to get a copy, they can contact me. David Della, who is the new public sector manager for Waste Management, is here to present the highlights of the 2013 report.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Good evening, Mayor Law and members of the City Council. We appreciate the opportunity to present Waste Management's 2013 report to the City of Renton. My name is David Della. I'm the new Public Sector Manager for Waste Management all of over 60 days. And let me introduce the team that has come with me. Sitting next to me is Candy Castellanos, who is our Public Education and Outreach Manager. And then in the audience we have Alan York, who is the District Manager for our operations side for Waste Management. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to get this. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. And so just an introduction, Waste Management is a leading provider of integrated environmental solutions and the largest recycler of post-consumer waste in the Pacific Northwest. Our mission is to maximize resource value of the materials we handle and to minimize the environmental impact so both our economy and the environment can thrive. Every day that we provide service to your community, we do that with the following commitments. Our first and foremost is commitment to safety and outstanding customer service, public education, outreach, building strategic partnerships, and community sustainability. So 2013 was a year of transparency and dialogue, taking on both the challenges and opportunities facing the recycling industry. So the first challenge was really Operation Green Fence, and this is China rejecting certain mixed recyclable materials, deeming them non-recyclable, low value, and contaminated. And that represents about 1% of all the materials for recycling for that big commodity market. And that did have an adverse impact on the recycling industry. And so we hosted a number of town hall meetings with cities, and thank you for participating to talk about that challenge and how do we get around that and how do we look at increasing our recycling rate despite the challenge. We also did some knowledge sharing around harmonization of recycling and multifamily diversion. And we partnered with King County and Snohomish County to gather information, do some education seminars, and to talk a little bit more about how to increase efficiency and increase our diversionary rate in recycling. Because of the growing population, language population, and cultural diversity, we also did a lot more in bilingual education and outreach materials. And then we did door-to-door outreach, mainly in the multifamily and the commercial districts. As our company continues to evolve, we are determined to reach our 2020 sustainability goals that we believe is in line with the community sustainability goals. And we have 4 goals: increase waste-based energy production, increase recycling, increase our fleet efficiency, and providing wildlife habitat at our landfills. Just a couple things to note, that we've increased recycling because at our Cascade Recycling Center in Woodinville, we process about 12,000 tons a month, and that is attributed to the increase in the recycling of our cities. Also in our fleet efficiency, the mayor mentioned in his speech that we run our compressed natural gas trucks through your city. That has increased efficiency of our trucks and also protects the environment, and we're proud to provide that kind of service to your city. And then next, in Washington State, we own and operate 3 state-of-the-art single-stream recycling facilities. Our recycling facility, Cascade Recycling Center in Woodinville, JMK Fibers in Tacoma, and Spokane Materials and Recycling Center, SMART, in Spokane. So if you haven't had the opportunity to visit these centers, it's remarkable how they handle the material. We're happy to organize a tour for you. Due to the good work of Linda Knight and her staff and your community and your support, we collected lots of tons of materials from your community. In terms of the waste stream, the total tons collected was 66,596. So that included residential, multifamily, and commercial. Residential participation was high. Curbside recycling, 95.5%. Yard waste, 85.2%. In terms of diversion, away from landfill, multifamily was 12.4%, commercial 21.6%, residential 67.7%. That is a total of what the mayor also said, 25,000 tons of recyclables and compostables diverted out of landfills. So now I'll turn it over to Candy that will talk a little bit about our public education and outreach efforts.
Good evening. Thank you for hosting us. I'll keep this brief, although I could talk for a long time. We've had a great time doing outreach and education in your community. As the public education and outreach manager, I lead a team of 4 full-time year-long staff and year-round staff and 12 full-time seasonal staff. And so with our total of 16 staff, we actually do a lot of one-on-one work with businesses, residents, and multifamily properties and residents throughout the Renton community. And you know, as a professional educator and as somebody who has the interest of permanent behavior change in mind, we've really looked at the city and done a lot of hands-on work to make sure that people understand the programs that are offered, people are participating to the best of their abilities, and that we're seeing those numbers grow and grow. And so it's with integrity, intent, capability, and results that I present our outreach and education information. So just a quick snapshot, and I won't go into any detail on these. In addition to the work that we do in Renton, I'm also a partner with King County and Snohomish County on looking at ways to improve outreach and education programs across the region. And so this is just a snapshot of different things that we're doing across the Puget Sound, including some really innovative outreach programs at elementary schools. I'm with the Washington State Department of Ecology's commingled work group, where we're really looking at harmonizing messages about recycling across the Puget Sound, doing some pretty fun community-based social marketing work in organics participation and trying to improve participation but also decrease contamination. Some really exciting work in multifamily, especially with Hispanic and Latino residents. And then we did a groundbreaking study last year on looking at residential behavior in terms of their garbage and what they're doing, in what they think they're doing, what they're reporting they're doing, and what they're actually doing, to try and get to really that nugget of what will get people kind of over the hump and really understanding the programs a little bit better. So in Renton specifically, when we work with multifamily properties and residents, what we do first is we visit the property, we do a site visit, we look in the garbage and the recycling containers and look at where the opportunities are. We contact the property manager if they're not on site. We give them a call and ask if we can have permission to go door to door with residential information with recycling education. We have been granted permission by a number of properties, and I can report that of the 461 properties that we contacted last year, we visited 54 by request and handed out materials in multiple languages. And so the free services that we offer to our apartments and condos include site visits, reviewing invoices to look at right sizing, making sure that everything is set up on site for the best success, co-location, proper colors, and then doing that visual waste audit so that we can tailor the outreach to specific items that that property is struggling with. So in the business community, we had a huge outpouring of interest and support last year. We visited all 1,156 businesses, checked in, made sure their recycling programs were going well. We inquired if there were any needs in terms of both materials in English as well as other languages. We did have requests for materials in Russian, Korean, Chinese, and Spanish and Vietnamese, and we were able to supply those. So very rich interactions with all the different business staff as well as managers. Again, these are free educational, hands-on technical assistance programs that we offer to all businesses. What we leave behind is a very simple, going green is easy. And so, as business people, we know that we're all busy. So we wanted to make sure to leave something so that they knew if there was something that they wanted to take advantage of, that they could contact us. And last but not least is how we engage with the residents. And so we've been a partner in the community at the events. Our recycling information station is there all 3 days at Renton River Days. We're there at the farmers market. We actually collect fresh produce for HopeLink while we're there. And we have a very interactive style of engaging passersby in recycling questions, recycling trivia, bingo, games for kids, games for adults, and then sustainability prizes. So we're just trying to make sure that people have the information that they need, as well as information in other parts of services in the area, like the Styro Recycle that's behind the IKEA, and then other community-based drop-off recycling. So mentioning Renton River Days, Renton Farmers Market, we're part of the compost days that's actually going on right now. The Big Dig that was part of the compost days event last year was actually at McClendon's Hardware in Renton. And then we've got a number of other ways that we engage with the community throughout, including a special coloring book that we have available to kids. We've got the residential recycling guide that is mailed to every single resident. And then we've got a color-coded system for even and odd recycling week pickup and the collection schedule that gets mailed every year. So.
Okay. So we also value being involved in the community. So we do that through sponsorships and donations. So we've sponsored Renton Chamber of Commerce's events, such as the 2013 State of the City Luncheon, their Business Excellence Awards, and Economic Forecast Breakfast. We've also been a sponsor of Renton River Days for over 10 years. We donated to a return to Renton Car Show to benefit the Renton Police Department's youth program and communities and schools in Renton. I just want to note that besides the wonderful work that you've done in terms of recycling, we also want to congratulate the city in being able to successfully launch Every Other Week collection. And that's really a tribute to the work that you have done to support this and your community to embrace that type of change. Just in closing, just want to thank you for your attention. We really appreciate your business. We look forward to working with Linda and her staff and all of you and the community to continue to build a sustainable community and to continue to do work. I look forward to coming back next year to increase our report in terms of success. So thank you very much, and we'll take any questions.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Candy, for the report. Any council member have questions for
Mr.
guest.
Mayor?
Yes, Ms.
If I
Ferrer.
could just make a comment, I wanted to talk about the young people that you had come out to the businesses during the summer. And I was kind of surprised when they came in, but real nice young lady and gentleman that came and talked about the program. And of course, having been in this position, I was pretty well aware of what we were doing. But it was nice as they were able to leave some handouts so that I could put up some fresh pictures of what gets recycled and what doesn't. So I think that was a real nice opportunity to remind businesses what they can do and what they can't. So good job.
Thank you. Yeah, our summer program is the Waste Management Recycle Corps, and it's a collegiate internship program we're hiring right now. And so if you know of college students that are interested in environmental sustainability, environmental science, it's a very intensive hands-on job training, and you get to see their great work. So.
Yeah, they did great. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Well, we're pretty excited to be recycling 25,000 tons of
Amazing.
debris every year. That's just amazing to me. So, and as I always mention to you, we appreciate the relationship we have with Waste Management. So thank you for taking the time to be out here with us tonight. Thank you, Linda, too, for helping out.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda, I'm going to ask Preeti Srihar to come forward. She's going to make a presentation to the council on the special award that we won for cultural diversity. Preeti?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council President Pro Tem Ed Prince, members of the council. It gives me just supreme pleasure, and it's an incredible privilege for me to be standing here and sharing this great news with you. We started the year being in the national spotlight thanks to the Seahawks, and we have just continued that tradition. Last week at the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C., Renton received a very, very special award and recognition. And I want to tell you a little bit about what this was for and then share this award with you. So since 2008, it's been a priority for our city to be an all-inclusive city, to really work hard to make sure that all our programs and services are accessible to all our community members, that we provide opportunities for all, and that we also engage the various community members and the diverse populations within our city. We are privileged to have a wonderfully diverse population in our city, lots of different languages spoken, and we made this commitment, and it was for us to have specific outcomes as we embarked on this effort of ours. One of the things that we did, which was, I think, very unique and is certainly looked upon from across our region and the country, is we created a group and we just termed them our community liaisons. And I have Julio Amador, who's one of our liaisons, standing right next to us to kind of share this moment. And our community liaisons are basically members representing various community groups, organizations, diverse population groups. And some of them are presidents or, members of associations with leadership roles there. And others are just, like Julio, really well engaged and connected in their community organizations, and they provide a link for us, with the city and our programs to their membership. And they have been just, the value that they have provided has been really, it's immeasurable, because they, we contact them saying, we've got these programs, how can we, target members of your community, how can we bring this to you, what are the things that you need that we can provide you with. And the list of our accomplishments is really quite endless, from emergency management and emergency preparedness programs. We've distributed emergency kits. I don't know, a month doesn't go by before Julio calls and says, can I get 500 DVDs of the Spanish emergency DVD, please? And of course, and he takes it there and he gets it out. Our Heart Month program that you've heard about, where we've made, special efforts to make sure we provide heart health to all communities. Again, it's a phone call away, and members like Julio get us in touch with, their membership and arrange events for us so that we can make that. And it's also engagement. They participate in important task forces, citizen groups, the Budget Advisory Group, the Seattle International Film Festival, again, to be part of our planning, but also to be a voice for their needs. Last year, we did another thing that was very exciting. We looked at our employee base and said, how can we expand our knowledge and our awareness and conversations that we can have? And we had the exhibit at the Seattle Center, Race, Are We So Different? And each and every employee had the opportunity to go visit the exhibit, and in addition, we conducted 2 workshops at City Hall where we had conversations about this. One of the best ways to educate ourselves and the community is through knowledge and awareness, and frankly, through food and fun. And so we've had festivals, diversity festivals. There's probably one year that we haven't gone to the Cinco de Mayo that Julio organizes and brings, and it's open to the entire community. He brings the other community liaisons there, and definitely it's a partnership with the city. And that's just one. We have festivals that every community group celebrates that we participate with, and we've also encouraged folks to come and participate in the citywide festivals like Renton River Days. So anyway, like I said, we've made specific efforts to go forward with our goal. Mayor and council, you've actually included this as one of our mission statements in our business plan, which is also very unique in terms of any city doing that. And so for this, we got in Washington, D.C. last week from the National League of Cities the first place for the 2014 City Cultural Diversity Awards. And I shall read out a couple of quotes that I got from them about us. The first one is from James Walls, who is the mayor of District Heights, Maryland, and also the president-elect of the National Black Caucus of Local Elected Officials. He says, "Your remarkable program, Renton Embracing Our Diversity, is truly a shining example of diversity and a total community partnership and collaboration." So this was what we got sent to the city of Renton in a letter before they made the announcement. And then soon after the announcement was made, from the executive director, Clarence Anthony from the National League of Cities, he said, "We thank the city of Renton for its important efforts to be inclusive of the diverse ethnic and cultural groups in the city. Strong, vibrant communities are built by providing services and opportunities that reach everyone in a city, including those who do not speak English as a first language." So I just want to say congratulations to the entire community. Thank you to everyone, each and every department that's participated. And before I hand this award over to you, I'd like Julio to say a few words, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I don't have any high tech to show you, but I do have the a map of the state of Washington. So around 20 pounds ago, and for those of you who are not familiar with this conversion, that means 13 years ago, I was looking for a place where I can move and grow up my business. And I look at this map very closely, and logistically, the only city that had so many advantages was the city of Renton. 7 minutes from the airport, like 3 minutes from the local airport, 13 and a half minutes from downtown Bellevue, 13 and a half miles, from Seattle, 13 and a half miles from downtown Kent. And you can reach Mercer Island if you want to go swimming, or you can take I-90, or you can take I-90 and go all the way east and meet the Atlantic Ocean. All these logistical advantages came to my brain. My brain is wired like that. It wasn't difficult. Nowadays, if I wanted to open a business in a city that was willing to embrace my culture or my ethnicity, instead of this, I will go to Google, and guess what? Yeah, I did it today. The city of Renton comes up as a winner. So, Mayor, thank you. Kudos to you, and kudos to your staff. They have done a wonderful job. They have bent backwards to reach us, our community. Thank you so much. Job well done. Thank you. Thank you, Julio. You've been just absolutely a wonderful member of this organization, and we really appreciate all of your efforts and your commitment to what we're trying to achieve. So, and thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate it very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Preeti.
Thank you.
Very nice. Now we have to move on to Jay Covington.
Mr. Mayor?
Everybody pause for a minute as the,
Mr. Mayor?
yeah, we settle down to more mundane things.
Yes, Mr.
Before you
Pence.
move on to Jay, I know his report's going to be riveting. I just want to say how proud I am of the city for all the work we've done to embrace our different cultures in the city. And this, I'm so excited about this award because it's proof positive of all the hard work that you and the city staff have done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pierce. Appreciate that very much.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
I
Covington.
wanted to thank Preeti for all of her leadership in this over all these years as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
if I can just comment, this is a national organization. This is, you know, Renton gets a lot of recommendations and comments, good things said about them, along in the Association of Washington Cities and those kinds of things. But to be recognized for this nationally, and I really do owe a lot of it to Preeti, pulling it together, you know, I mean, it's been ideas in a lot of our heads over the years of different things we could do, and I think she's done such a good job of being able to take all the components and start making programs, and then the other staff that have gotten involved, I mean, really involved, and making it possible to be successful at this. So it's a big deal, and I'm very proud of Renton. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Breyer.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
As you said in the State of the City address, we went into this as the economy was tanking and didn't have extra money. And look at what you've been able to do, or we, but really Preeti, just working so hard, diligently over all these years. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Okay, thanks, Preeti. Thanks, Julio. Okay, moving on to audience comment. We have a couple people.
forgot Jay.
I'm sorry.
Nice try, nice try.
Jay, that's my fault. I'm
It's all right,
sorry.
Here, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
That was well played, Mr. Mayor.
I will just take this
right.
opportunity. Preeti does deserve a lot of credit for this, but as the council, I'm sure, knows, once you give us policy direction, staff is all in. And as you heard in the Mayor's State of the City, this is just the beginning. We have a lot of great ideas going forward. Dennis is absolutely committed to make Renton the best city in King County, and in this area, I am convinced we will be the best city in terms of being inclusive, the most inclusive city with opportunities for all, and it won't take that long, because you've got a lot of staff who are committed to this. So it'll be fun to watch and fun to be part of it. We have some items we want to make sure that you're aware of and the community is aware of. Puget Sound Energy's Energize East Side project, small little project out there that they're working on. Actually, not so very large project that we want the community to be very, very aware of. They're upgrading the power transmission grid on the east side of Lake Washington in order to keep up with the increasing demand for energy caused by regional growth. They're exploring options and routes for 18 miles of new 230 kilovolt transmission lines that will extend between Renton and Redmond. They're conducting 3 sub-area workshops to provide information and obtain input from the public on the alternatives for the south portion of the route, which is the Renton to Newcastle route. The first of these workshops will be held Thursday, March 27th from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Renton Technical College, Building 1. That's, for those of us who might know, that's the Robert C. Roberts Campus Center Cafeteria, which is 300 Northeast 4th Street. We hope that folks who are interested at all try to make the effort to go and get more information. We also want to make sure that folks know that PSC will be making a special presentation right here next Monday night, March 24th, at the City Council meeting on the same topic. So folks can tune in and get information there as well. The council is well aware of the wonderful work that we did on Rainier Avenue and how well that looks, and particularly the street lights. We noticed shortly after they were installed that the birds seemed to like those street lights as well, and decided that the black paint was not exactly what they had intended, and so they tried to modify it in their own, as only birds know how. So we want to let you know that bird spike strips have been installed on the top of the new streetlight standards, which doesn't allow them to roost and do their business on the streetlights. So you should see those lights stay the color that they were intended to stay. We hope that this effort will work for that, and the birds will find a more natural habitat to roost and do their business on. And finally, for me at least, Public Works crew want to let you know they reached a milestone by installing the 10,000th AMR wireless water meter out of approximately 18,000 meters in our city's water distribution system. This represents roughly 55% of the installations. Conversion to the wireless water meters started in 2012 with a projected completion date of 2018. However, the crew is significantly ahead of schedule, and now our projected completion date will be probably around the end of 2015 or early in 2016. And we got an item of correspondence last week. Council received it as well, expressing some concerns over the North Highlands Neighborhood Center, and so Terry Higashiyama, our Community Services Administrator, is here to give a brief report on that.
Good evening, Terry Higashiyama from Community Services. Thank you for allowing me to respond to an email that you received last week from a concerned citizen. Rightfully so. Part of our job is to make sure that we respond back to all citizen inquiries and make sure that we're running the best system we can within the city. And first of all, as you know, that North Highlands area is a construction zone, and it has been for quite a while as we're building the new inclusive playground. So the correspondence was absolutely correct. When you look at the building, it certainly doesn't look the way we normally keep it, but we are at the in-between stage. May 3rd, we'll be doing the painting, the restriping, the redoing of the building, the re-landscaping, both of the playground and also the North Highlands Community Center. So the public has been very patient with us. We had to actually keep the building closed. We just reopened it in January, so it's been closed because of all the construction. We have a brand new preschool that started in there that's on the left side of the building. The building is open for drop-in from Monday through Friday from 3 to 7, so it's nice to have the kids back in the building again. We started gymnastic classes, and that's approximately about 150 participants a week that are up there for that, and that's on Mondays. And then on Thursdays, we have cheerleading classes, and there's approximately 25 participants that are in that. And so we're getting back to the regular schedule, and so I do appreciate when someone lets us know and is concerned about how our building's looking and how it's being maintained. The public has been very patient with us, and I promise you that it will be back in condition as that we normally keep our buildings. As you know, we have been limited on some of our capital, and so we are doing what we can to replace, refurbish, and remodel where we can. And so once I think we get it painted and it gets all fixed, it will be the matching colors that are in part of the Meadowcrest School too, so we'll all fit together with the landscaping and that. I would also mention that whenever anyone has concerns about any of our buildings, we appreciate getting an email or a contact letting us know where their concerns are so we can immediately address it. And secondly, I did go back and work with the police department to see if we had any police calls or anything up there that I wasn't aware of. We did have one call in May of 2013. Four boys who inappropriate behavior, and the police came. Our staff called and they were dealt with, and the parents actually, I think, dealt with them also. So we did have a call up there. We have not had any other calls within or around the community center all last year, and I double checked with staff, so I just want to make sure. And we certainly work with Cindy Parks, who does our training with our staff to make sure we're well aware and how to deal with any issues within the building. So again, I encourage staff, call 911 if you have any concerns. Call us if there's things that we can do better. And we promise that the building will look better after we finish everything. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Brewer.
Terry, when did you close it? How long was it closed?
Gosh, we were closed from last fall all the way through till January, into the summer. Once we started construction and we had equipment moving in and out of there, we had some, we moved the camps as best we could out of there because that was a real popular day camp site. But we've been very limited on anything we've had up there till the preschool moved in January.
right,
So
thank you.
we're getting back in the normal mode of it, but we'll get it fixed up for everyone.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
I just want to add, it's exciting how that block is looking with that
Yeah.
school and that playground going together.
Yeah.
gorgeous, so. that'll
Yeah, the
be-
communities, and you know what, we had no damage in the construction area or anything, and I think part of that is because the public around the building does a really good job of letting us know where their concerns are.
Good.
So we appreciate that, because that helps the construction go well, it helps us get the job done, and it helps all of us do a better job.
Right.
But again, we appreciate the community support.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Now moving on to audience comment, we have a couple people signed up to address the council. When I call your name, please come to the podium, give your name and city of residence for the record. You have 5 minutes, and the timer is next to the city clerk. Paul Olet.
Good evening, my name is Paul Olet, Renton, and I just, before I go on, I want to make a statement that now, after attending a few of these sessions and stuff, I know why I didn't run for election of council. You have so much in your cup, I don't think I'd be able to handle it, you know, especially with the marijuana, what do you call it, the smoking stuff?
We don't have that in our cups, I just want to be clear.
It's amazing because you're going to have a problem on your hands. I was at Fred Meyer the other day at the customer service counter, and I happened to mention that situation, you know, and she said, I know, she said, I just had a customer, one of the customers came in here a little bit ago, and the smell stayed on for 15 minutes. And the problem is going to be, is how do you stop it? It was interesting to me to listen to what's happening in Denver as a result of this. Anyway, tonight I want to tell you, I guess, is that the more that I attend these sessions, the more I become concerned about our community and want to save it for our future generations. And I appreciate tonight the administrative report that Jay gave us, because, and also I want to thank the Renton Reporter for putting these articles on the paper. I want to talk about the PSC situation, okay, or project, proposed project. You know, as a member of the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, I believe in conservation for our future generations. And that's what we need to think about in our community here for our future generations. Because I think about what has happened in our community over the past 40 years that I've lived here. Not necessarily everything has been positive, okay? I want to share with you some of the questions that I've received from some of other citizens relative to this project coming up, okay? First, I'll just read some of these and then give you my observations. Is the intent of PSC, the intent to increase capacity of distribution for the potential users along the route, or only from Talbot Hill to Sammamish? Is the answer, is the second option, is only to give more power to Sammamish? Are there many other routes that could be taken from where the power is being produced? Is the power being produced east of the mountains or down in Centralia? There's already a second aerial route through Renton Highlands and Newcastle, east of Monroe, okay? Why is that PSC not considered that route? Where's the power being generated? Again, like I said, why are the taller tower requirements? Radiation fields or some other unhealthy emissions are a problem? If we cannot use the Shoreline Management Act to protect Lake Washington, Coolin Park, Mercer Island Slough areas from the western route, what is the environmental law good for? I sat down the other day and put some comments, some observations about this, and again, I appreciate the Renton Reporter having the article, but remember that not all citizens receive the Renton Report because they don't like the thing on their driveway, okay? I put up with it and I go pick it up on a Friday morning. But what's happening here is known tonight because of the administrative report, but how many citizens know about what's going to happen here or being proposed? Can you imagine the drop in valuation? I'm not talking about now the route along the water line, okay, along the lake. The valuation of those nice condos along Lake Washington Boulevard, what's going to happen to the valuation? And that's going to affect your taxes also over here, and the amount of money that you get from those. a duplicate of what PSC has done to Talbot Hill, Puget Drive, where I live, okay? It is plastered with power lines. It looked like a forest next to Sam's, okay? Once they put up a few towers on their right-of-way, and I asked myself, why did Puget Power buy that property or got that power, that routing in the first place here a few years ago, when the King County was looking for money to buy that railroad right so on. So they silently went out there and got themselves a right-of-way. Why? Because exactly what's happening today, okay? Once they put some power lines, they're going to increase them, okay? It's not just a few power lines, it's going to affect the entire area. I'm sure the folks around Monroe route will have a lot to say also. It's obvious that David is correct, that the Puget Power is, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm almost finished, okay? Puget Power is playing the two neighborhoods one against the other, okay? That's not fair, because obviously, the people that want to protect the water line, the lake shore, don't want it there. Kennydale doesn't want it there. Monroe people will not want it there. Why is it that Renton is becoming, or continues to be, the sewer of Seattle, like they did with I remember when I first moved here, they developed the sewage treatment center over here, and the smell was terrible for many years until they corrected it. But so we treat the system for the entire area. They want to do the same thing with the power. Now, to me, I would ask that hopefully that all the rest of the council members will be here next week, and they would get themselves some information about why Puget Power, Puget Energy is doing what they want to do. Why does it have to come from Talbot Hill? Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank
Paul,
you for your extra time.
couple of the questions that you had, Greg Zimmerman, I know can answer tonight,
Oh, good.
and hopefully we'll have some more answers to your questions later
Well,
on.
if you'd like, I will send this an email for these questions and so on.
He can talk to you right there, so,
Zimmerman. I'll send
that'll be
him a copy of the email.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. Next is Inez Peterson.
Inez Peterson, Petersen, Renton attorney and editor of the Underdog Law Weekly Report to the Council. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I just have a comment about the prior presentations. I think our diversity program is great. I'd like to see a unity program, though, where we teach everyone English so we don't need so much diversity. That'd be a great idea. I don't know, maybe that's part of the diversity already. And about the recycling presentation, you know, we're all using those squiggly light bulbs now, and they contain mercury and they should not be placed in the regular garbage. People should wrap them in some kind of plastic and take them either to Bartell's, Lowe's, or Office Depot. It is so important they take the time to do that. We just don't want mercury in our landfills. So on to my underdog report. Now, this is my excuse jar, fortune cookie excuse jar I wrote to you guys about during the week. Now, we got excuses last week, but we also got some action, and that's what the fortune cookie excuse jar hopes to do every week. So the DeWitt property, to some of us, looked like there was a little developer favoritism going on. Well, the cyclone fence is gone, so are the Santa cans. It's just wonderful that that happened so speedily after I so quietly brought it to the attention of everyone in my quiet and humble way. But there's still some problems up there on the DeWitt property. The first thing is the light that is there, the street light. He has threatened to remove that. That can't happen. We don't want any excuses in the excuse jar. We want to make sure he understands that the street is going to be well lit and that he is not going to remove that light pole. Now, the second thing about the DeWitt property is a very important point because it affects all the development of residential construction in Renton. And as I looked at the driveway at the DeWitt property, it's a small, I have a picture, but I'll put that on my website, underdoglaw.info. Anyway, there's this driveway in the cement sidewalk, but the city code only requires 15 feet for a driveway, which means a normal size car, if you aren't driving a smart car, you got a normal or an oversized or an SUV, the butt of that car is going to be on the public sidewalk. So we still have a public sidewalk issue for the DeWitt property, but it's also a potential problem for the entire city. So I would hope that, I don't know which council person has that responsibility, but I'd hope you could follow up on that for us and let us know. I mean, is there enough room for a car to pull so far into the lot that they can avoid blocking the public sidewalks? So with that, oh, and I also appreciated Terry's comments about the North Highlands. That was a wonderful report back, and we appreciated that very much. So thank you. See you next week with my fortune cookie excuse jar. Hope we don't need it.
Next is Howard McComber.
I'm Howard McComber. I live in the Renton Highlands. Before I say anything else, I'd like to talk about someone who is near and dear to me who just passed away on the 27th of February, and that's Sandel Damastis. He's done tremendous service. This city is full of people who try their best to make it a better town. Matter of fact, our biggest problem, the heat we have, is because we all care so much about our position, but all of us are exactly on line of trying to make Renton the very best place to be. I thought Julio did a nice job up here as well, but it's just nice. I appreciate Terry. She does a wonderful job with our park service. She and her staff are just fabulous.
Thanks, Howard, for mentioning Sandel. She was very active in the community and certainly very active with ARP over the last several years, and so we're very sad to hear about her passing.
That's right. There will be a memorial service for her in the community center on, I believe, is it April 6th? Yeah, April 6th. And at 3 o'clock, we can get that thing. But I just want you to know that people like that make a huge difference. I went to visit her just before she left here, just maybe 5 days before she passed. And her mind was still bright, but cancer did to her what cancer does. And so it was tough. But the thing we do is we leave behind what good we've done and the people's lives we've touched, and what's sort of the real inheritance that we have is the good that we try to accomplish. They had a nice thing, Terry had her thing on parks and people wanting to make memorials in a proper and appropriate manner, and she's done a great idea. I'm sure with some tweaking, I have no idea what to tweak out that, it sounded great to me, but tweaking, it'll come back out here, it'll go through, and it'll be wonderful, and it's another example of volunteers and helping. I watched the movie Lincoln with my grandchildren the last 4 days, which is a lot of fun. And the whole show of Lincoln, which was fabulous, was getting the Congress of the United States to pass the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished slavery. That was so important. Lincoln spent his life doing that. He put out an Emancipation Proclamation as president, but that's a temporary issue. It had to go into the Constitution, and it had to require the Congress. Congress is the legislative part. The reason we have freedom is because we have a Constitution that does separation of powers, and each area has what its job is. And the legislature's job is to get input from the people that they represent, and then make it into laws or make it into priorities or programs or whatever, and then the administration takes over from there and implements it. But the part of the council, in our case, is to get the input from the people and weigh out what's important and make policy changes if necessary, or decisions or directions. And then they pass that to an extremely capable staff. Jay Covington, probably if there's supports given, ought to have one for number one city manager. But he doesn't make up the policies. The policies are made up by you, and then the mayor and Jay implement those. And your job is to listen to guys like me to give you the best ideas that we have, and we're trying to do the same thing, which is make Renton a better place. I've got a yellow light on, so I know it's there, so I'll say my last piece really fast. There's a group of people in our city who are now called workforce. That's the latest buzzword, but it's the people, median income down, that do not have new housing being built from at this time in this area. And we need to do something about that. We've got some solutions that do not require money out of the budget. It does empower private builders to get to work on it and to do it. It's going to take some work, but it can be accomplished, and I feel that it's a very important thing. I don't think we have enough new housing coming on, have no new housing coming on, for the people in the lower part, and it can be done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Howard. Next is the consent agenda. We have 8 items for council consideration. Are there any items a council member would like pulled for discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
I'd like to pull item D.
Okay. Is there anything else?
That's all.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I'd like to adopt the consent agenda item D.
Second?
Been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Mr. Corman, that council approve the consent agenda minus item D. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Ms. Breyer.
Yes, item D is a request from the Community Services Department to approve a waiver of picnic shelter fees, and they had asked that this be referred to Finance Committee. The waiver of these fees would be for the annual crop walk event that's coming up on May 4th, and the cost would be $280. In the past, we have allowed this every year, and I think rather than delaying it and taking the time to have it sent to Finance Committee, I'd like to propose that we approve it tonight.
Second?
It's been moved by Ms. Breyer, seconded by Mr. Corman, that council approve the waiver of the picnic shelter fees for crop walk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thanks, Ms. Breyer.
You're welcome.
Moving on to unfinished business, Mr. Prince.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Planning and Development Committee has committee reports.
Planning and Development Committee report, time for hearing examiner's written decision. The Planning and Development Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to amend Renton Municipal Code 4-8-110E12C in compliance with state law to reduce the time for the hearing examiner to render a final written decision from 14 to 10 days unless a longer period is mutually agreed to in writing by the applicant and the hearing examiner. The committee further recommends that the ordinance regarding this matter be presented for first reading. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move that the council adopt Planning and Development Committee report.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Ms. Breyer, that council approve the Planning and Development Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Planning and Development Committee report, regulations for legalized marijuana work program. The Planning and Development Committee recommends concurrence with the Planning Commission and staff recommendation to adopt regulations for producers and processors of recreational marijuana, categorizing them as heavy industrial, allowing in the IH zone, and amending the heavy industrial definition. And for recreational marijuana retailers, categorizing it similar to taverns, allowed in zones with conditions, and proposing a new definition for marijuana retailer. The committee also recommends that the moratorium for issuing licenses and permits associated with medical marijuana be extended for an additional 6 months. The committee further recommends that the ordinance and the resolution regarding these matters be presented for first reading. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move the Planning and Development Committee report is adopted as read.
Second?
Been moved by Mr. Prince, seconded by Ms. Breyer, that council adopt the planning, and I'm having trouble with this tonight, the Planning and Development Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
I just want to make a couple of comments about this. The new legalized marijuana, of course, we did a moratorium so that we could get a better idea of how this was going to impact our community, and we had kind of hoped that the legislature might actually come in with some answers regarding the medical portion of it, and of course that didn't happen through the legislative session, but I really want to thank both the staff who's done an amazing job looking at all the options, all the options on how to address this, and then the Planning Commission who apparently had a variety of opinions and very thoughtfully went through this and had some public comment opportunities. And so I think we're on the right track, and I think that holding the moratorium for the medical marijuana for a few more months to kind of see where that shakes out is a good plan. So anyway, a lot of work's gone into this, and I think we're ready to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Breyer.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Breyer, you have any committee reports?
Yes, Finance Committee has reports, 2 reports.
Finance Committee report, approval of claims and payroll vouchers. The Finance Committee approves for payment on March 17, 2014, claims vouchers 327-611 through 328-311, 8 wire transfers, and 2 payroll runs with benefit withholding payments totaling $13,349,242.37, and payroll vouchers include 1,428 direct deposits and 345 payroll checks totaling $3,277,577.32. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
I move that council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second?
Been moved by Ms. Breyer, seconded by Ms. Palmer, that council concur with the Finance Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Finance Committee report, King County INET. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve a contract with King County, Washington in the amount not to exceed $13,860 per year to provide access to internet and institutional network for city's communication and data processing needs. The committee further recommends that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the agreement. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
I move that council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second?
It's been moved by Ms. Breyer, seconded by Ms. Palmer, that council concur with the Finance Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, Mr. Pavoni.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have 2 utility reports.
Utility Committee report, agreement for the SR 167 Exchange Direct Connector Talbot Hill Sewer Relocation Project. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve a new wastewater utility capital improvement project to relocate the Talbot Hill Sewer as needed to accommodate WashDOT's SR 167 Interchange Direct Connector project. Authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the consultant agreement with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated in the amount of $145,900 for engineering services for the Talbot Hill Sewer Relocation Project, and approve the proposed 2014 capital expenditures for this project in the amount of $1,600,000, which will be reimbursed by WashDOT per agreement with the city. The budget adjustment associated with this project will be included in the upcoming carry-forward ordinance. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Pavoni.
I move that the council concur with the recommendations of the Utility Committee.
Second.
It's It's been moved by Mr. Pavoni, second by Mr. Corman, that council concur with the Utilities Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Utilities Committee report, second addendum to the Cascade Interceptor Agreement Phase 2 rehab and maintenance of Interceptor with Sioux Creek. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the second addendum to the March 27, 1964 Cascade Interceptor Agreement, Phase 2 Rehabilitation and Maintenance of the Cascade Interceptor with Sioux Creek Water and Sewer District for the rehabilitation of the remaining portions of the Cascade Interceptor. The committee further recommends that the resolution regarding this agreement be adopted. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Pavoni.
I move that the council concur with the recommendations of the Utility Committee.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Pavoni, seconded by Mr. Prince, that council concur with the Utilities Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, Mr. Corman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we had a public safety meeting, and there's no reports, no formal reports from that, but I did want to share just a little bit with the council.
Okay.
The fire department, primarily this was the fire department presenting, but they were supported by the police chief, doing some really good proactive work to improve the public safety, and there's items that'll be coming forward for budget approval and future budgets. And I thought all 3 of the items were interesting, and I learned something on each one of them. So one of the items was the fire department's interested in purchasing bulletproof vests for first responder personnel, medical personnel, in the event that there's a continuous shooter situation, and the police are working, obviously, to clear this. God forbid we have a situation like this, but it's obviously there can be victims while the police are still at work trying to neutralize the situation, and the vest would allow the medical responders to be a little bit safer when they're responding. And then the next thing was we were taught about ethanol, something I didn't realize, and people might remember in my day job I'm an engineer, and I still hadn't picked up on this detail about ethanol, which is it's an important alternative fuel. It comes from grain. It functions very much like gasoline, corn. You can create ethanol, but it has a very different quality in terms of being a flammable fluid. If it leaks, it's water soluble, and so it does not respond well when you put foam on it. So if you have a gasoline spill, a fire department comes out and they put foam on it, and that can suffocate the fire, prevent it from igniting. Ethanol will eat right through that foam layer, and so we were taught that really we need to upgrade our foam supplies in the city. It's fortunately not an entirely new expense, in as much as the fire department does have some foam stockpiles, but they're aging. They have an expiration, so the plan is to, it costs about 50% more to get foam that actually works against ethanol, and we do have shipments of ethanol coming through our city, so they're going to be doing that in the future, and that was very interesting discussion. And then the last one was on the fire engines and our fire engine replacement. As a reminder, we do put money into funds for fire engine replacements, and typically we when we get a new engine, which costs like $250,000, $670,000 for a new engine, $1.3 million for a new ladder truck. But we typically operate them as primary response vehicles for 10 years, and then we use them as reserve vehicles for 10 more years, and then retire them. And doing so keeps all of our homeowners insurance rates down. If we try and run them longer, we pay for it when we pay our homeowners insurance. So. Anyways, the fire department showed us a schedule of specifically when some of these vehicles come up, and starting 2015 we'll be replacing 1 or 2 fire engines a year using funds that we've budgeted already, but we'll be making some big purchases in the near term. So it was a very interesting meeting, and I want to thank the fire department and the police chief for all the information.
Thanks, Mr. Corman. I wanted to mention one point, and that is we do have a schedule for replacement of our fleet.
but our our fleet manager and mechanics really work on it to make sure that they need to be replaced. If we're getting to a point where we're putting an inordinate amount of money into maintaining them and keeping them running, then we change them over. Otherwise, we'll keep them for another year, another 2 years, whatever it may be.
It's good. I'm glad you mentioned that. In fact, we examined a book in the committee meeting that had all the details of each of the major pieces of equipment and showed us, what was wearing well and what was not wearing so well on those. So, very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Corman. Ms. Palmer?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, moving on to resolutions and ordinances. We have 3 resolutions and 3 ordinances this evening.
The first resolution regards the interlocal agreement with King County for the INET. A resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an interlocal agreement entitled Contract between King County, Washington and City of Renton for Institutional Network Services, contract number 02COR14.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Breyer?
I'm sorry, I don't have the schedule in front. This is a resolution?
Yes, it
Right,
is.
thank you. I'd like to make a motion that the resolution be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Breyer, seconded by Mr. Corman, that this resolution be adopted as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
The next resolution regards extending the moratorium on applications for business license regarding marijuana. A resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, extending the moratorium on accepting applications for business licenses or permits for medical marijuana businesses and establishments involved in the sale, manufacture, distribution, or use of medical marijuana, directing the setting of a public hearing date and establishing a termination date for the moratorium.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince?
I move that the resolution be adopted as read.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Prince, seconded by Ms. Breyer, that this resolution be adopted as read. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And the third resolution regards the amendment to the contract with Sioux Creek Water and Sewer District. A resolution of the City of Renton, Washington, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter into an interlocal agreement with Sioux Creek Water and Sewer District regarding rehabilitation and maintenance of the Cascade Interceptor.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Pavoni?
I move that the resolution be adopted as read.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Pavoni, seconded by Mr. Prince, that this resolution be adopted as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
The first ordinance for first reading regards amendment of city code regarding the hearing examiner decisions. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 4-8-110 of Chapter 8 permits general and appeals of Title 4 Development Regulations of City Code by changing the period of time in which the hearing examiner shall render a final decision to be consistent with state law.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince?
I move the ordinance be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting.
Second?
Been moved by Mr. Prince, seconded by Ms. Breyer, that this ordinance be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
The next ordinance for first reading regards amending the city code by adding regulations and definitions related to sales and use of recreational marijuana. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Chapter 1, Administration and Enforcement, Sections 4260 and 4280 of Chapter 2 Zoning Districts, Uses and Standards, and Sections 41190, 411-130 of Chapter 11 Definitions of Title 4 Development Regulations of City Code by adding regulations and definitions related to the use, production, processing, and sales of recreational marijuana.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince?
I move the ordinance be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Prince, seconded by Mr. Corman, that this ordinance be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Lastly, there is one ordinance for second and final reading. This is the code amendment regarding chronic nuisance premises liens. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 1-3-3 of Chapter 3 Remedies and Penalties of Title I Administrative of City Code by clarifying the definition of calls for service, chronic nuisance premises, and general public, and amending regulations regarding liens.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr.
I
Corman.
move adoption of the ordinance.
Second?
Been moved by Mr. Corman, seconded by Ms. Palmer, that this ordinance be adopted as read. It requires a roll call.
Mr. Prince?
Aye.
Ms. Breyer?
Aye.
Mr. Pavoni?
Aye.
Mr. Corman?
Aye.
Ms. Palmer?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all ayes.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Bonnie. Moving on to new business, Mr. Prince.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, for Council President Person, I'm announcing the Committee of the Whole meeting for March 24th. Committee of the Whole, 6 o'clock in the council chambers. 2 items on the agenda, the 2014 legislative session wrap-up and the annual self-insurance review. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Breyer?
Yes, the Finance Committee will be meeting next Monday, March 24th at 5:30 PM. We have 3 items in the council conference room. 3 items: vouchers, emerging issues and revenue streams, and conversion of assistant fire marshal position. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pavoni?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Corman?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Palmer?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Moving on to audience comment. Was there anybody who wanted to address the council? You know the routine. Come on up.
I just want to share my comments with the council about...
Would you mind giving your name again and your city for the record?
I'm sorry. Inez Peterson, Renton attorney, easily found in the Washington State Bar Organization website, if you want me. Now, here's my comments about the moratorium. Article 1, Section 3 of our state constitution says, "No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." Now, I just read a case the other day that's similar to this situation. So a government entity had a moratorium. It was a reasonable moratorium to decide how to implement state, I believe it was growth management. And then they couldn't figure out what to do, so they extended it another 6 months. And that wasn't reasonable. When the legislature passes a law, they expect the lower government entities to take a reasonable time to implement it. So I offer this caution to you. I think this extra 6 months is an unconstitutional extension of the moratorium. The people that have gone to the state and gotten a state business license, that's a property right, and you've now, for a whole year, you will have suspended their rights. I just don't think it's right, and I hope you'll reconsider what you're doing here. Other cities, other counties don't have any problems. They've implemented it, and I suppose because there's so many gray areas. I mean, I've had quite a few business people contact me about I-502. There's so many gray areas, even for the state, but that can't be a reason for just suspending. I mean, you need to go forth with something, something as reasonable as you can do now, and amend it later. But I just think it's wrong to extend it a second time. It's not reasonable. I believe it's unconstitutional. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Breyer?
the attorney's not going to say anything?
Well,
Because this is for the medical marijuana rather than the recreational.
Right.
we don't even, here's my position on it. Our city attorney's office reviews all of our resolutions, all of our ordinances, all of the moratoriums, all of the action that you're taking. And until we have different direction, our legal opinions will come from the city attorney's office.
Mr. Mayor, I'd only add that one of the reasons why we're considering the moratorium on medical is because the state legislature could not, in their 60-day session,
Right.
figure out how to deal with medical marijuana. And so we're struggling because of the ambiguity in the current law by initiative and how it conflicts actually with some of the recreational marijuana uses. There are real issues there, and so we're hoping that those can be sorted out. In the meantime, we have, as has been adopted here on first reading, an ordinance that will allow the legalization of recreational marijuana in this city per the wish of the voters. So we're moving forward, and as has been mentioned, the moratorium that's before you, there is due process. There's a public hearing on May 12th. Folks can come and talk to us. That is in compliance with state law, so we are completely constitutional in the work that we're doing here.
Chip, did you have anything to add?
Sure, if I could, Mayor, members of the council, just for clarity, Initiative 692 that was passed by the citizens of the state of Washington is the medical marijuana bill. That is the bill that we're having the moratorium put in place on. Initiative 502 that was adopted subsequently is, as Jay indicated, that is the ordinance we had first reading on tonight. We had an expectation, based on representation from the state legislature, that they were going to merge the medical marijuana legislation 692 and Initiative 502 together into one legislative package. 692 medical marijuana is highly unregulated and not taxed, where retail marijuana is highly regulated and taxed. And so we had clear direction from the state in terms of how to proceed with respect to retail marijuana. We didn't have that clear authority with respect to medical marijuana. And based on the failure of the state legislature to combine the two initiatives into one sensible law that made sense for all sides, we are advancing the recommendation for a moratorium until the legislature can sort the issue out.
Okay, thank you. What's the wish of the council?
Mr. Mayor, move we adjourn?
Okay, just a second.
Oh.
Did you want to address the council again? Paul?
No.
Paul Willett, Renton, on the issue of marijuana, okay? Just a quick comment is I'm not an attorney, and I don't, personally, I don't agree with what Peterson talked about. As far as extending the thing, I suspect that it's a lot easier, a lot better rather, to take your time and do it right, as opposed to having it wrong and try and change it later. So I appreciate the caution that the city is taking on this issue, because historically, the Olympia is not going to give you a right answer anyway. They're going to look at the bottom line and how much more tax they can get, and they're not going to give it to you. So take your time and do it right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Breyer, you were about?
Yes, I'd like to move that we adjourn.
Second.
Been moved by Ms. Breyer, second by Mr. Prince, so we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.